Even as Trump moves to extend the ceasefire, are Iran's elite forces simultaneously preparing for a renewed phase of conflict? Within hours of a high-profile missile display, has the IRGC issued a warning that signals a far more aggressive posture ahead? Referencing crushing blows, shocking events, and new tactics, is Iran now indicating a shift in how it plans to confront the US and Israel? And as Mojtaba claims a form of total victory, does this narrative directly challenge Trump's announcement of an indefinite ceasefire? As US President Donald Trump considers the possibility of fresh strikes on Iran, the IRGC has stated that it remains fully prepared for a potential conflict. Iran's elite forces have issued warnings to the United States and Israel, threatening retaliation that they claim would exceed expectations. An official IRGC statement, published by Press TV, indicated that Iranian forces are currently in a high state of operational readiness. The statement also suggested that new battlefield tactics could be deployed in ways designed to surprise opposing forces. Iran's elite military unit further warned both Trump and Netanyahu of significant consequences if hostilities resume. IRGC statement said, and I quote, "We are ready to create achievements and shocking events far beyond the comprehension and calculation of the warmongering and treacherous enemy, utilizing new cards on the battlefield." IRGC is at the peak of readiness and determination to continue the battle against the enemies and is ready for decisive, certain, and immediate confrontation with any threat or repetition of enemy aggression. In a new round of possible military battle, we will inflict crushing blows beyond the enemy's imagination on their remaining assets in the region. End quote. Iran also claimed that its multiple waves of drone and missile operations had already caused substantial damage across the Middle East. According to the IRGC, these coordinated attacks impacted key infrastructure and strategic locations. Iranian officials further argued that these developments have weakened perceptions of US military dominance. The IRGC also stated that the conflict may be reshaping the regional balance of power in West Asia. IRGC statement said, and I quote, "Today, with the collapse of the hollow prestige of the military power of the United States and the Zionist regime, we are on the verge of entering a new regional order in West Asia, without the presence of foreign and arrogant powers, especially America, and creating a stable and secure environment." End quote. Hours before the United States announced the extension of the ceasefire, Iran visibly ramped up its show of military strength, holding orchestrated public events to signal resolve. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps on April 21 staged public displays of ballistic missiles in several Iranian cities, underscoring the country's emphasis on its missile arsenal amid the ongoing war. The parades took place in Tehran, Kerman, and Arak just hours before President Trump revealed that he was extending the truce, timing the events to coincide with a key diplomatic turn. Iran International reported on April 21 that the missile displays were held against the backdrop of a stalemate in indirect talks, framing them as a political statement as much as a military one. Videos shared by Iranian state media showed ballistic missiles being paraded through residential and urban areas, giving the impression that the hardware is deeply embedded in everyday life. Large crowds were seen waving Iranian flags and chanting anti-US and anti-Israel slogans, reflecting both state-organized mobilization and genuine public anger toward the Western powers. The crowds also chanted slogans praising Iran's military establishment and calling for strikes against Israel, signaling that domestic sentiment remains firmly behind an assertive posture. Hezbollah flags were visible at several locations during the rallies, underlining the ideological and operational alignment between Iran and its regional proxy network. At the Tehran rally, the Garda ballistic missile was prominently displayed in a central square, drawing attention to one of Iran's key long-range systems. In another part of Tehran, the Khorramshahr-4 ballistic missile was also put on display, with state media using the imagery to project reach and deterrence. An image attached to one of the displayed missiles reportedly identified a potential target as Ras Gas, a liquefied natural gas firm in Qatar, suggesting that Gulf energy infrastructure is on Iran's hit list. These displays form part of a broader pattern of regular, ongoing pro-government rallies that have been held across Iran since the war began on February 28. Despite the US extending the ceasefire, Iran's military has issued a fresh threat, signaling that it does not fully trust President Trump's declared commitment to peace. A senior Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander warned that any new aggression by the United States would trigger a powerful and carefully calibrated military response from Tehran. Saeed Majid Mousavi emphasized that if Iran is attacked again, Its forces would be ready to target wherever people want, framing retaliation as a matter of popular will. The IRGC's aerospace commander delivered this message during a public address on April 21st, as reported by Iran's state-linked press TV, speaking directly to the Iranian public. Meanwhile, President Trump announced on April 21st that he had extended the ceasefire before it was scheduled to expire the following day. Iran did not immediately respond to the US move, largely because the continuation of the US naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Brigadier General Said Majid Musavi said, and I quote, "Your children stood by the missile launchers for 40 nights and days, exposing the arrogance of the global powers. And during the period of military silence, they remained vigilant, hands on the trigger, ready to defend this ancient land and its millennia-old civilization. Today, we have come to you to declare our pledge, if after the ceasefire the enemy oversteps and commits any aggression against this soil, this time our target will be wherever you direct us. Let the southern neighbors know, if their land and resources are used by America to attack the Iranian nation, they must bid farewell to oil production in the West Asia region." Unquote. Additionally, Iran's IRGC has reiterated that it would respond immediately with force if the United States launches any new military attacks. Ibrahim Zolfagari said, and I quote, "Our capable and powerful forces have been in a state of 100% readiness and with their fingers on the trigger for a long time. So that in the event of any aggression or action against Islamic Iran, they will immediately launch a powerful attack on predetermined targets and teach the aggressive America and the child-killing Israeli regime another lesson, more severe than before." Unquote. US President Donald Trump announced on April 21st that the current ceasefire with Iran would be extended, altering the timeline for the temporary pause in hostilities. In a post on his Truth social platform, Trump said that attacks will be held off until Iran puts forward a formal proposal, tying the extension to the prospect of a new diplomatic offer. The truce, which had been set to expire on April 22nd, was extended at the request of Pakistani mediators, as Trump stated, reflecting their continued role as a back-channel broker. Hours earlier, Trump had publicly expressed that he was not in favor of prolonging the ceasefire, according to Al Jazeera coverage of his on-the-record remarks, underscoring the last-minute nature of the reversal. On X, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also expressed gratitude to Trump for extending the ceasefire, welcoming the decision as a chance to preserve the diplomatic window. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and, in all other respects, remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted, and discussions are concluded, one way or the other." Meanwhile, Iran continues to insist that removing the US blockade is a necessary precondition for any new round of negotiations. Iran's Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, has called the blockade an act of war, and has even likened it to a form of maritime piracy, underlining the gravity with which Tehran views the measure. Araghchi has explicitly linked the resumption of negotiations to an end to hostilities against Iran's commercial shipping, demanding that Washington first lift the restrictions before talks. Meanwhile, President Trump has suggested that Iran wants the Strait of Hormuz kept open primarily to avoid major economic losses, portraying Tehran's interest in the waterway as driven by financial concerns. Trump has argued that lifting the blockade without a prior deal would weaken the United States' leverage in negotiations, insisting that Washington must maintain pressure.